grace forever.
Well, Daniel is here now. What a remarkable film.
Thank you very much.
It's really interesting. I mean, I don't really think I've ever seen anything quite like it.
No, good. I mean, that's what I hope everyone will feel. I mean, when I read it, I'm always looking for stuff that's original, and because we see a lot of the same kind of movies get made a lot, and there's nothing interesting about that to me. And this film was so many different things. Like, obviously, you know, you can see from the horns and stuff, there's a horror fantasy element to it, but it's also really funny. Like, the first third of the movie is very funny because he wakes up with horns and he reacts as you would react in that situation, which is to be entirely freaked out. And then, and it's also got this kind of great love story, and that's all in the book as well. Anyone who's fans of the book will know that all those things. It's a very layered film. But yeah, the love story between me and Juno Temple is sort of the crux of the whole film, and it's really beautiful sort of depiction of love's young dream.
It is, in a slightly strange, quirky, odd way. It's one of those films that you want to go and see it again, just to kind of make sure that you got it, do you know what I mean?
Right, yeah,
which
absolutely.
is great.
Go see it loads of times.
But the horns themselves, I mean, was that kind of, you know, the way that people say when you put the shoes on, then you're the part. When you got your horns in, you were there.
Totally. I mean, it is very much like when you look at yourself in the mirror. Whenever you look at yourself in the mirror and there's like a moment of transformation or something. I remember when I did a film with contact lenses, I had brown eyes, it changed things. Sure. And it is the same. When you have a pair of horns on your head, you tend to view yourself very differently. And also for the last part of the film, I have sort of a 6-foot-long python wrapped around me as well for a lot of that. And that is another thing where you're like, this makes me feel pretty cool right now. Yeah.
You're in the role. You're definitely in the moment.
And it's and we listened to the two guys that put the horns on. They only took like 20 minutes to put on every morning. Were just huge like metal heads. So we just listened to a lot of heavy metal every morning.
Just to get right
just to get into the metal. Yeah.
But you said you wanted to do original films. The choices you've made since Harry Potter have been really interesting. You could there's no way you can put you in a little box. It's very hard to pigeonhole you.
Well, that's great.
Presumably that was the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the people that I really admire in terms of how their careers have gone are people who have had a very long career, and one of the ways they've achieved that is by doing as many different kinds of things as they can. I think you only achieve longevity through variety and through showing that you can do lots of different things. Because when you're young and in your 20s, you're castable as a certain thing, but you ain't going to be playing that kind of character when you're in your 50s. And if you are, you're probably not going to be working. So you know, you have to find as many things you're good at as possible.
No, it makes sense. It's like Robert Pattinson with Twilight. He's been exactly the same, actually.
And then he's been doing like the Rover.
Yeah, really
exactly.
good, really indie, quirky film.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a desire in most people who've spent like a lot of time in one franchise to go out and just prove they can do lots of different things.
But what a great thing to have done. I mean, it was brilliant. You'll always have that.
Absolutely.
You know, you'll be showing your kids that and your grandkids because you know these movies will last forever.
I thought about that the other day. Like, well, will they, or will they remake them before my kids are grown up? Like, will my kids be saying my dad was the original Harry Potter? Like, I don't know. That's all a possibility. I have already thought, like, at what age would I let my kids see those films? Because it's just such a weird thing. Like, I think I'm going to try and not for a long time. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, as you say, I always get people coming up to me saying those films were such a huge part of my childhood, and that never gets old. It's a lovely thing to. I think I would be, if it was preventing me from getting other work, I might be like resentful of it. But because I've been able to have a career outside of it, I've always been, I still love those movies.
Of course, and that's lovely and so refreshing to hear. It's really good. Who do you rely on for advice? I mean, is it your manager? Is it your dad? Is it your family? How does that work?
I mean, my mum and dad a lot. My dad particularly when it comes to work stuff and scripts, because my dad used to work with writers a lot in his job. So I sort of have free script development with my dad. And then, my agent and things like that. But also my agent's somebody that's known me since I was born, because she went to drama school with my dad and is a lifelong family friend as well. But I'm very lucky, to have people around me who I know genuinely care for me as well as, work with me. But yeah, I know not every actor has that with their agent.
But that's really good, and that keeps your feet in the ground as
Absolutely.
well.
And
that trust thing, it's wonderful.
I think doing the whole growing up as an actor in England is very different from doing it in America, and I think people over here have a tendency, if you get cocky, they tell you, and they're not going to allow you to sort of get too big for your boots. So I definitely think I would have possibly turned out very different. All of us might have if we'd been doing it in America.
That's a really good point. I never even thought about that. That's a very good point. I mean, we talked about kids, for goodness sake, but you're still only a baby. You're not thinking about that yet.
No, God, no, absolutely not. No. I'm really excited about the prospect of one day having kids, because I've seen so many of my friends and stuff have it, and the change it affects in their life is so great. But yeah, I'm well away from that. I can barely look after myself.
That's fair enough. I think that's very wise.
Yeah,
very, very
not
wise.
Going to bring a child into that.
And next Frankenstein, you're doing that?
Yeah,
You're
we finished filming that earlier this year. It's with myself and James McAvoy and and Jess Brown Findlay and Danny Mays, and also Andrew Scott is in the movie, and
Great
loads.
cast.
It's a great cast. It's from Paul McGuigan, who's directing it, who directed Sherlock and a lot of Sherlock, and it's a really good, fun adventure movie, kind of set against the backdrop of a story that we're all kind of familiar with.
Of course, but a different twist on it.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see that. And horns, well done.
Thank you
well
very
done,
much.
that man. I'm glad you've not got them on today, though.
I know. I was thinking about breaking them out on the sort of talk show circuit. Just I think it might spice things up. So maybe in a few weeks,
Okay.
I'll come back with them on.
Fantastic. Thank you, Daniel.
Cool. Thank
Great
you very
to see
much.
you.
Nice
Thank
to see
you. What a lovely chat. I'm so glad that we did manage to get that interview with him after yesterday. Now, after the